Peter, as always, thanks for joining us in this midweek catch-up. Let's first of all look at the match on Saturday against Ayr United. Another disappointing result. What did you make of the performance?
100% right about the result. I thought the performance was a lot of good in the performance, I must admit. I thought for big periods we dominated it. I think Ayr United obviously came out and admitted that later. There were certain incidents that happened in the game at important times for us. So I thought we'd made a good start. We could create the corner right away, and then we conceded for the bye kick, which was quite incredible. But as I say, after that, I've looked back. I thought Toddy, as I said, could have been booked. I thought for diving in the box, but then when you see it back, it's a stonewall penalty. So situations like that, you just feel when you've went once, well, that's wee bits of fortune you need to give you that boost. But then we go and concede again, so we were always on the back foot in that respect. But I thought there was a lot of good play. We kept trying to do the right things. But I'm not kidding myself. I'd attained a really poor performance with a victory, and unfortunately we couldn't do that. But as I said, I've got to take the manager and the supporters hat off and myself and just look at it from the coaching point of view. As I say, that's what you've got to do when you're watching the game after it, and you've got to look at it with a cool head in the respect to that, and not be carried away with just everything that's going on round about it. I've got to make sure that the things that the players done well, that they're very much aware of that, because there was a hell of a lot of good things in the game, and I know that sounds crazy when you've lost a game 3-1. But the things that's letting us down seems to be a constant this year. Making individual errors and mistakes, and every one we seem to make. As I say, I think someone said that Ayr had 3 attempts on goal and scored with the 3 of them. So that tells you enough about that. And unfortunately, I feel at least two of them we should have done much better at.
Especially when you concede so early on, you have your kind of tails up and having to try chase the game, and then, as you said, to concede a second, we did bounce back and get that goal back. Did you feel in the second half, if we hadn't conceded that third goal, we were in a position where we could have went on and got something from the match?
Even between the first goal and the second goal, I thought there was a lot of good stuff we'd got. And just to get the final choice in the box, or we missed a good chance. Toddy's a good header, obviously. Great ball in from Josh. Toddy's got his score and he knows that himself. Then we get the goal back. And as I say, you're at 2-1, you know you're right in the game. And to be fair, we didn't deserve to be out of the game at that period because we had a lot of the ball, as I say, and created a lot of good stuff. But I know the bottom line is you've got to win matches, and you have to, as I say, but I thought there was a lot of good things in the game at certain periods. But then the third goal probably sums up what we've done this season so far. It was catastrophic, as a group in that. We've got a throw in the halfway line and went back at our goalkeeper, which, as I say, is not what we practice. So that becomes decision-making. Listen, I understand at times when you're a bit frustrated and things are not going particularly well in the respect to result, and you end up making wrong choices. And we can't legislate for that. You don't expect that, because we always know we're looking to play forward in the respect of trying to create chances. When you're in the halfway line and you end up at your goalkeeper, it just probably sums up that a little bit of lack of confidence at important periods, and unfortunately it cost us dearly.
When you look at the squad, and it is a fairly balanced squad in terms of experience and youth, do you feel that some of the players, because of the run of results we've been on, maybe need to get a little bit of help in terms of just making sure that they get through this period and don't let it kind of fester too long and it affects them on the pitch?
Of course, it's very, very difficult. When you're not winning games of football, I'm not stupid. It affects us all. Me as a manager, obviously take the can for it, because I know what it's like. As I say, I've been there many, many times when things are not going particularly well, and you've got to dig in, you've got to fight hard, you've got to run, you've got to do all of the basics really, really well, and as I say, sometimes it's not down to your talent, it's going to get you through that. That's going to be something else. That's something that's within you, under your jersey. You've got to have that little bit of heart, and sometimes that's got to make it difficult for the opponent. But as I say, I thought they showed character on Saturday, the way they tried to play. And it's difficult when you're playing in the circumstances and no getting the results and missing the chances and then giving away the goals we are. And I can understand why they get deflated, but then it's making the right choices. And as I say, when you're under the stress of no winning games, some certain things come up in your mind and you make wrong choices, and I'm seeing that too many times, but not just from one individual. It'll happen and then someone else will do something. You think, wow, That doesn't happen. Then people say, well, what do you see during the week? Well, you don't see that because it's a completely different arena you're in, you know, when it comes into a Saturday, and nobody can tell you how you're going to do. That's why people say, well, how do you prepare for a match? Well, you can prepare for many things, but can I prepare for somebody making the wrong choice? I can prepare for somebody doing this or that. You can't, because you're not expecting that to happen. And it's always easy to play football when you're winning games of football, because it's not as if somebody gives you a bag of confidence. When you're winning matches, you automatically, as I've said many times, you don't even think about it. Now I think we're more tentative, but that was a pleasing thing about Saturday. I thought there was a lot of good things in it. Obviously, the massive thing was the way we lost the goals, and obviously losing the game was massive disappointment. But I think everybody, it was the game. I think the first question I was asked after the game was, that was a strange result. Yeah, but the bottom line is we lost the game because of, I'd say, predominantly our own errors, you know, more than anything else. And as I say, that's the same thing I seem to be saying after week, no matter, it may be a different person, but it's the same errors that's costing us dearly.
The follow-up I was going to ask to that was in terms of if their confidence is low, in terms of then the pressure that comes with that to try and get back to winning ways, and to try and make, as I said, make sure that they're on their A game all the time. How do you help them in that regard, in terms of helping them along from the experiences you've gained and the other guys in the group that you've brought in to lead? How do you manage to bring everyone back together and get their heads back up and ready to go on a Saturday again?
Well, it's something I've been thinking about a lot, Jordan, because I think the respect is, I use a word basics, do the basics well. But the basics to me maybe mean completely different to someone else. You know, so it's something I've had to look at myself, because my rule of thumb was to make sure the guy I was playing against was having a difficult time if I was having a difficult time, to make sure he was having one. And it was just as basic as that for me. You know, do the simple things well, all the things that managers and coaches say throughout the world, you know, and that's what it really is. But when you're under that little bit of stress, you don't end up doing the simple things well. You complicate it, you take an extra touch. And that is the snowball effect of not playing with that confidence. Whereas I spoke before, if you're playing with that confidence, you don't even think about it. It's just a natural, you're not even thinking. And sometimes you come off a game and didn't realise you'd done that because you just played without even thinking. When you're not playing or not getting the results and not playing particularly well or whatever, you think about a lot of things, and that ends up muddling you up and you end up making wrong choices. Some of the things I see on the pitch, I know I never see them during the week with the players. And all of a sudden you see it on a Saturday, you're, wow, it surprises me. But I'm not the one that's out on the pitch on a Saturday. As I said many times, I can't say to the referee at certain times, oh, can you blow the whistle there, ref, to be stopped, to be organised here, or whatever. It's just that reaction which you do, which is, as I say, when you're winning, it's a natural. And that's why, as I said, and I said last week, I think to you, when we're winning games, I've seen traits in us that I wasn't happy with, about certain goals and chances we were giving up, when we're winning 4-5s and whatever everybody was raving about us. And I said it'd come back to haunt us if we don't fix them properly, you know, and that's what we've tried to do. I know there's been different circumstances with personnel and different situations at the time. Of course, I understand that. But at the end of the day, that's the things that's killing us, is the things that I've seen even in the pre-season games where everybody was telling us how well we were playing. And I said, if we keep making the same errors when we get into the league programme, we'll get punished. And unfortunately, that's been the scenario. Every mistake we seem to make, as I say, I think I'm led to believe that in the game that the 3 attempts on goal, there was 3 goals. You know, that tells you enough, you know. And I think somebody said we had 6 or 8 or something like that. We should have scored probably 3 or 4 of them, you know, but we didn't. And they're the moments. They're the moments. Teams don't seem to be making mistakes against us, you know, and we seem to be the ones that make mistakes and obviously getting punished for it. And as I say, that's something obviously we've spoken about closely, but to give people confidence, I can't turn around and say there's a bag of confidence. It doesn't work that way, you know. As I say, for us, it was just to say, do the basics, do the simple things well, do the things you know in your position. What does a centre half do? What does a fullback do? What does a striker do? You do them well, you know. Make sure you do the small parts well. And if you're willing to do that, that sometimes and maybe not click this week or next week or the week after. But you've got to keep striving for that, you know, and trying to get that right. And as I say, I see the work the boys put on in the training pitch. I keep saying it. And that's the thing that surprises me as well as you, as supporters as well, is because the things that happen on the match day, I don't really see that during the week, you know. And that's what, as I say, I don't see the errors, you know. So obviously that tells me they're a little bit more tighter on match day, which obviously is a natural thing, because me as a player, I was always butterflies and nerves or whatever, I always played that way. but I used it more as a tool to keep my concentration. I used it more as that. But I can't say, because we're all individually in that respect, even though we're a team, we're all individuals. Some people handle situations better than others. We've got to be very much aware of that. But we also understand the criticism in no winning games. So I have no problem with that. I've got to accept it. We don't like it. Of course you don't. And these are the moments when, as you say, you've got to dig in. And when you get that elation of winning a match, you remember the moments it's hurted you, so you don't go back to the places, the grey areas again. You make sure that you can keep that going and make that success. We win in one game, win the next game, win the next game, and that's what you try and do. You maybe lose one, but then it's how you get back on that horse and go again. And that's what we're trying to do. But as I say, I totally understand the frustrations. I have no argument or disappointment with that, because we're here to try and win games of football and entertain and send the supporters home on a Saturday night. Not disappointed, obviously, with victories and wins, and proud of a team that is winning games of football, and unfortunately we're not managing to do that at this moment in time.
When you look at Saturday's game against Dunfermline, a team that have started with 5 wins out of 5 and really hit the ground running, for ourselves, we had similar ambitions in terms of being up there at the top of the table to try and win the title, or to at least gain promotion to the Premiership. Do you feel that already on Saturday it's one of those kind of must-win games to try and claw some points back and keep ourselves with a bit of hope to be up there, or is it too early into the season to be looking at the overall long-term objective?
Well, I think as you know, Jordan, I've said to you for day one, the most important game is the next game. As I say, people say, would it be a surprise if you beat them at the weekend? No, it wouldn't. Not for me, because I know I've got the players that's capable of winning any game. But I've said and I keep reiterating the fact that every team in this division has to play well and make minimal mistakes. Because if you make minimal mistakes and you play well, you've got a chance of winning. But every team can say the exact same thing. There's no team that's going to say the ones that's Inverness have done it outstandingly well. But I bet you there's periods in the game that Billy will thought, we could have lost that there, or we made a mistake there and we get away with it, or somebody's missed a chance and they've maybe got up and scored the winner. And that is the fine lines in football. We're going into the game on Saturday preparing to try and win a game in football. That's, as you said to me now, I said to you last week, ball bums off somebody's knee or something like that. I'll be delighted if you win 1-0 with that situation. I'll accept that, because I'm desperate to win the game of football, as the players are, as the supporters are. Of course we are. That's what we're desperate to try and do. The ideal scenario is playing exceptionally well and winning the game. But that's what we're aiming, and that's what we're preparing to try and do, is win the match against a very good side, a team that's full of confidence. And playing against a team that's probably lacking that, that's the beauty of football. Unfortunately, that's what throws up week in, week out every time you play. Sometimes you think you're flying high and all of a sudden you get a boot in the backside, and vice versa. You need something to kickstart you, you get a result when people least expect it, and that's what we're trying to do. That's what we're trying to prepare for. I know the players are preparing to try and do that, and as I said, but that's been no change since the start of the season. I see the work ethic they put in, how hard they work. The surprise has been the big mistakes we've made at crucial moments in games, and puts us right on the back foot, and then they could become a little bit more tentative, and then they become and make probably situations harder. We take that wee bit, making the wrong choice a wee bit becomes a bit easier, because you're trying to be everything perfect, and everything in a game of football is never perfect. But you can prepare as much as you want, but you're playing against an opponent who's preparing to try and beat you, and obviously trying to stop you. But as I say, am I happy with a group of players that get in there and you think to yourself, come on, we can go and win a game of football? Of course I am. I know we're more than capable of winning games of football in this league. As I say, obviously the quicker that happens, the better for everyone. As I say, and that's what we're prepared to try and do against a very, very good side.
If we move on to the team news for this weekend, if I fire a few names at you, hopefully you'll be able to give an update on their situation. So starting with Kai Kennedy, he went off injured, I think, near the end of the game against there.
Yeah, Kai's got this wee issue. He's missed a couple of weeks, obviously, and we'd have liked him. Obviously, the international break came at a wrong time for us, because that had been a period for him, that we were going to leave him out the cup tie anyway. But that had been a period for him to try and get the injury back, because he rolled his ankle, but he's had a problem with it before. So it's one we have to be careful with. It's just an ongoing situation for him. A few of the boys have missed the first 2 days this week. I'm hoping, probably out of the 4, I'm hoping maybe at least 2 of them will be available for Thursday. That's what I'm hoping. As I say, the 24 hours, 48 hours is massive when you're recovering for football. As I say, the good thing for me is they're all desperate to try and go on the pitch. They'll come in to try and train, and then you see them walking on the pitch, and you think there's no chance you can train today, you know. And they say, but great credit to the players. That's their eagerness to try and come on the pitch and train. And that's not always easy when you're through a tough time. It's easy to sit in a dressing room and think, well, I'm not part of it, or in a treatment room. And to be fair to this group of players, they've all desperately been trying to be out there. So I've got to give them great credit for that. And as I say, hopefully they'll get their rewards with that, with getting a performance and a victory, as we so all desperately want for everyone.
And in terms of the other guys that haven't been involved in recent weeks, guys like Rhys Cole, Rhys Breen, have they been injured? Or are they just not involved? No,
Rhys Breen has been, it was unfortunate for Rhys. He had a double whammy with the COVID situation. He had it, then his family had it, then he'd done his hamstring just prior to that, after the Rangers game, would you believe it or not, in the running after the game. So he's had and then just as he was due to come out of COVID, family members had COVID, so they had to stay in again. So it's been a double whammy for him. So we're hoping to get him back sooner rather than later. Rhys Cole was floored. He's just come back into training Thursday, Friday there. So he's managed the 2 days. He's managed these 2 days. So we're hoping that he's starting to get his health back, because yet again, protocol dictates that, you know. So there's reasons why these guys are obviously not involved at this moment in time. And as you know, we had the situation before the Elgin match. Two of the boys played on Saturday who hadn't trained. So there's none we could do with that, but that was the bodies we were left with. With obviously the international break, but the boys were just come back in. Like Vitus wasn't back to Friday afternoon, you know. So, and he obviously hadn't played in any of the matches, so he had 2 weeks away without. He said living in a hotel eating, and obviously that was the problem, you know. So you've got to be very much aware of that. So it's not as straightforward as everybody thinks, you know. But there's certain situations that's arisen that they have to deal with, and we have to do what's best, what we feel for the players, because as you say, it's not just injuries now, it's the COVID situation and the protocol that goes along with that. But as I said, that one thing I've got to tip my hat to the players is that they're all desperately to try and get back and play. As I say, it'd be easy for them to be the opposite at this moment in time.
And just in terms of the three guys, the longer term guys that have been out for the majority, if not all of the season so far, Lewis Martin, Lewis McCann and Ian Wilson, are they still working away rehab wise, or how are they looking?
Well, Lewis Martin's back on the training pitch doing his runs, which is great to see him on there, get out, because as I say, he's been stuck in the gym for so long, and people obviously, it was a different slightly issue. It's not, as I say, straightforward, because it's not like as if it's a hamstring or a knee or ankle or something. It's not, there's nothing with a time on it really, you know, it's just how you feel really. So as I say, that's ongoing, but the good thing is he's doing a hell of a lot of work on the rehab now outside, which is great. Lewis McCann's joined in bits and bobs this week, been able to do wee bits and bobs, not at all, but he's getting closer all the time. Ian Wilson has been on the training pitch with us, still feels little bits of it, but we're trying to get through that. We're keeping him training, because the injury he has, it's not one of these injuries, even though it's sore, it's not one of the people are saying you should rest, you should actually try and get through the pain. So to do that, obviously Ian's got to train every day, which he's not obviously the fitness yet, but he's getting there. And the great thing is being able to see the ball with us and take part in certain things. Okay, a wee bit different stage for the rest of the players, but as I say, the great thing is he's been able to be out with us as well, instead of, as I say, being stuck in a gym or away from us or separated from us. So we're hoping that all these guys can be available soon, you know, and obviously bolster the squad, which would be great, because as I say, we have been down in numbers and obviously digging people out of their bed to come and play in the respect to that. But as I say, we know that's the same situation every other football club. They're going through situations like the same, so we understand that 100%. And I know I've still had the players on the pitch available that should have been getting better results than they have been. So I've no argument with that.